The everyday chaos of a local market, Peter, a young worker with Down syndrome, struggled to stay calm on his first day at work. But the peace was shattered when an angry customer began humiliating him with cruel words, while everyone around watched in silence, unwilling to step in. What no one knew was that among the customers, a legend of basketball was observing the scene. And what he did next would leave everyone speechless. Before we continue this story, let us know where you're watching from. If you enjoy stories like this, subscribe to the channel because tomorrow we have another special story for you. Let's begin the story. The market was alive with energy. Shoppers moved briskly between colorful stalls, packed with fresh produce, bread, and local goods. The aroma of roasted coffee and warm pastries filled the air. Voices blended into a symphony of laughter, bargaining, and friendly chatter. The scene was vibrant, warm, and welcoming to most. Yet for Peter it was overwhelming. Peter, a 21-year-old young man with Down syndrome, stood near the entrance in his crisp uniform. His name tag gleamed under the bright lights. Peter, happy to help. His heart raced as he rubbed his hands nervously. Today was a big day, his first ever shift at the market. Peter's mother had dropped him off earlier that morning. "You've got this, Peter," she said softly, squeezing his hand. "Just be yourself. You're kind, hardworking, and people will see that." "I'll do my best, Mom," Peter promised with a brave smile, though anxiety gnawed at his chest. The market manager, a middle-aged man with a friendly but hurried demeanor, approached Peter. "All right, Peter," he said, checking his clipboard. "Your tasks are simple. Organize products on the shelves, help customers with their bags, and keep the counters clean. If you get confused, just ask one of us." Peter nodded eagerly. "I will, sir. I won't let you down." "Good attitude," the manager said with a nod. "And remember, just take it one task at a time." As Peter moved toward the front counters, he couldn't help but marvel at the hustle around him. Shoppers filled their carts with vegetables, fruits, and snacks, while kids tugged at their parents for candy. The place buzzed like a beehive, but Peter was determined not to let it rattle him. He wiped his palms on his pants and got to work. The first few minutes passed without issue. He carefully stacked cans of soup on the shelves, ensuring each label faced forward. His focus was intense. He wanted everything to be perfect. "Nice job," said an elderly customer passing by. "You're doing well, young man." Peter's face lit up. "Thank you, ma'am." However, not all moments were that reassuring. As Peter continued organizing products, he felt eyes on him. A few co-workers whispered nearby, glancing at him and smirking. "He's so slow," one muttered under his breath. "We'll be here all day at this pace." Peter's ears burned, but he bit his lip and kept working. "I can do this," he reminded himself. "Mom believes in me, so I believe in me too." Suddenly the intercom crackled. "All staff to the checkout counters, please." Peter hurried to the front, his heart thumping louder with each step. This is it. Time to show them I belong here. Little did Peter know, this wasn't just going to be a regular shift. It was going to be the day that changed everything. Peter had always been known for his kindness. He smiled at strangers, helped neighbors with groceries, and never missed a chance to compliment someone's outfit or hairstyle. But behind that bright smile was a young man carrying heavy emotional scars. Growing up hadn't been easy. Peter's biological father passed away when he was just a baby, leaving his mother, Grace, to raise him on her own. Life was tough, but Grace loved Peter fiercely, encouraging him to embrace who he was. "You're special, Peter," she often told him, "not because of your condition, but because of your heart." When Peter was 9, Grace remarried a man named Frank. At first, Frank seemed kind and supportive, but that didn't last long. Frank quickly revealed a darker side. He was impatient and cruel, especially toward Peter. "Why can't you do anything right?" Frank would snap when Peter struggled with simple tasks. "You're useless, just like I said." Those words cut deeper than any wound. Peter, who only wanted to make people happy, began to doubt himself. He stopped speaking up in class and became shy around new people. His laughter, once bright and carefree, grew quieter. One night, after Frank had scolded Peter for spilling milk at dinner, Grace found her son curled up in bed, silent tears streaming down his face. "Mom, am I stupid?" he whispered. Grace's heart broke. She knelt by his bed and took his hand. "No, Peter. You are smart, kind, and wonderful. Don't you ever let anyone tell you otherwise, not even Frank." Peter wanted to believe her, but Frank's harsh words echoed in his mind for years. When Peter turned 18, Grace made a brave decision. She filed for divorce and moved with Peter to a small, peaceful town. Life started to look better. The scars from Peter's past didn't disappear, but they faded a little each day. Peter learned to bake, help his mother with chores, and even made a few friends at a local community center. Most importantly, he regained some of the confidence Frank had tried to destroy. When Peter saw a "Help Wanted" sign at the bustling market one morning, he decided to take a leap. "Mom, I want to apply for that job," he announced. Grace hesitated for a moment, concerned about how Peter might be treated in a busy environment. But she saw the determination in his eyes and smiled. "Go for it, sweetheart. I know you'll do great." The market manager was initially unsure about hiring Peter. "It's a fast-paced job," he warned during the interview. "I can learn," Peter said firmly. "I'll work hard. Please give me a chance." Impressed by his sincerity, the manager agreed. "All right, Peter. We'll give it a try." That night, Peter stood in front of the mirror and practiced smiling. "I can do this." Despite the pain from his past, Peter had hope for a better future. And as he prepared for his first day at work, he made a promise to himself. No matter what happened, he would keep trying. The morning sun streamed through the wide glass windows of the market, casting a warm glow over the neatly arranged shelves. Peter stood near the entrance, his heart pounding as he wiped his sweaty palms on his uniform pants. His first day had officially begun. "All right, Peter," said Mr. Harris, the market manager. "We're going to start you with some simple tasks, stacking shelves and bagging groceries at the counter. Remember, if you're not sure about something, just ask." "Yes, sir. I'll do my best," Peter promised with a determined nod. The first hour passed smoothly. Peter carefully arranged cans of soup, lining them up perfectly. He enjoyed the neatness of it all. It made him feel in control. Customers smiled politely as they passed, and Peter felt a small spark of pride every time someone glanced at his work. But not everyone was so kind. Two young employees stood by the dairy aisle, whispering and laughing. Peter noticed their glances and felt a familiar unease creeping in. "He's so slow," one of them muttered under his breath. "We're going to be here all day if he keeps that up." Peter's chest tightened, but he forced himself to keep going. Don't listen to them. Just focus. Moving to the checkout area, Peter began bagging groceries for a kind, elderly woman. "Thank you, young man," she said warmly. "You're doing a great job." Peter beamed. "Thank you, ma'am." However, the calm atmosphere didn't last long. The automatic doors whooshed open, and in strode a tall woman with perfectly styled hair and a sharp expression. Her designer handbag swung dramatically as she marched toward the checkout counters. Karen, the name suited her entitled demeanor perfectly, scanned the long lines and let out an audible sigh of frustration. "This is ridiculous," she muttered loudly. "Do you people even know how to run a store?" Peter glanced nervously at her as she approached the counter where he was working. Her piercing eyes locked onto him. "You," she snapped, pointing at Peter. "Bag faster. I don't have all day." Peter's hands trembled as he tried to keep up. He double-checked each item before placing it neatly in the bag, just like he was taught. Karen huffed loudly. "Are you kidding me? What's taking so long? Even a child could do this better." Peter's face flushed red. Memories of his stepfather's cruel words flooded his mind. "You're useless, just like I said." "I'm sorry, ma'am," Peter managed to say, his voice shaky. "I'm trying my best." "Well, your best isn't good enough," Karen spat, her voice loud enough to draw the attention of nearby shoppers. "Maybe you shouldn't even be working here if you can't handle a simple job." Peter felt a lump form in his throat. The market, which had seemed so warm and welcoming earlier, now felt cold and hostile. Other customers stood frozen, some awkwardly glancing away, while others pulled out their phones to record the scene. No one stepped in to help. Peter struggled to hold back tears. "Stay calm. Don't cry. Not here." But just as Karen opened her mouth to hurl another insult, a towering figure stepped forward from the crowd. "Ma'am," said a deep, commanding voice. "That's enough." Peter looked up in disbelief. The man standing before him was none other than Shaquille O'Neal, the retired NBA legend himself. His broad shoulders and calm presence seemed to fill the entire market. Karen blinked, momentarily stunned. "Excuse me?" "You heard me," Shaq said firmly. "You're being rude. This young man's doing his job, and doing it well." The air inside the market had grown thick with tension. Shoppers stood frozen, watching the confrontation unfold near the checkout counter. Phones captured every second of the drama as Karen glared at Shaquille O'Neal, her sharp features twisted with disbelief. "Who do you think you are?" Karen scoffed, crossing her arms defensively. "This is none of your business." Shaq, towering over everyone, remained calm and composed. "Actually, it's my business when someone's being bullied for doing their job," he said firmly. His deep voice cut through the awkward silence like a knife. Karen rolled her eyes. "Bullied? Please, I just want decent service. Is that too much to ask?" Shaq leaned forward slightly, his tone unwavering. "Ma'am, decent service doesn't mean treating people like dirt. Look around. You're embarrassing yourself." Peter stood motionless, his hands still trembling from the encounter. He couldn't believe what was happening. Shaquille O'Neal, the basketball legend, the guy he'd seen on TV countless times, was standing up for him. Karen opened her mouth to fire back, but the murmurs from the crowd grew louder. "He's right," an elderly woman chimed in. "That poor boy didn't deserve any of that." "Yeah, you were out of line," added another shopper. Feeling the crowd turning against her, Karen's confidence faltered. Her face flushed with embarrassment as she grabbed her designer handbag. "Whatever," she muttered. "This place is a joke." With that, she stormed toward the exit, heels clicking angrily against the tiled floor. The automatic doors whooshed open, swallowing her frustration as she disappeared into the parking lot. The market fell into a hushed silence before erupting into applause. "You okay, buddy?" Shaq asked, turning to Peter with a gentle smile. Peter swallowed the lump in his throat and nodded shakily. Yeah, thank you, sir." "You did good," Shaq reassured him. "Don't let people like that get to you, all right? You're doing your job, and that's what matters." Peter's eyes glistened with gratitude. "I was trying my best." "And that's enough," Shaq said firmly. "Your worth isn't defined by what some rude person thinks. You hear me?" Peter nodded again, this time with a bit more confidence. The other customers gathered around, offering kind words and pats on the back. "You handled that well, young man," said one. "Don't let anyone tell you otherwise." "You've got a good heart," said another shopper. As the crowd slowly dispersed, Peter felt a strange but wonderful warmth spread through him. The weight of Karen's cruel words began to lift, replaced by the support and kindness of the people around him, and the towering figure who had stood by his side. Shaq patted Peter's shoulder gently. "You keep shining, all right? The world needs more guys like you." "Yes, sir," Peter said, smiling despite himself. With a friendly nod to the crowd, Shaq turned and headed toward the exit. The market returned to its bustling rhythm, but something had shifted. The people there had witnessed a moment of courage and kindness, one that they wouldn't soon forget. Peter took a deep breath and got back to work, this time with renewed determination. As the market slowly returned to its usual hum of activity, Peter stood at the checkout counter still processing what had just happened. His heart, which had been racing moments ago, now beat steadily. The sting of Karen's words lingered, but Shaquille O'Neal's reassuring presence had left a stronger impression. "You okay, kid?" Mr. Harris, the market manager, approached Peter with a concerned expression. Peter gave a small but genuine smile. "I'm okay now. I just didn't know someone like Shaq would help me." Mr. Harris nodded thoughtfully. "That was something, huh? He's a big guy with an even bigger heart." Nearby customers continued to offer Peter kind words. "You handled yourself well," said a middle-aged woman with a cart full of groceries. A man chimed in. "That customer was out of line. Don't let people like that get you down." Peter's chest swelled with pride, and for the first time since starting his shift, he didn't feel like he was struggling to keep up. He felt seen, respected, and supported. Shaq's words replayed in Peter's mind. "Your worth isn't defined by what some rude person thinks. You hear me?" Suddenly, a young boy tugged at Peter's sleeve. "Mister, are you the one Shaq helped?" Peter blinked in surprise but nodded. Yeah, I guess that's me." The boy grinned widely. "That's so cool. Shaq's my favorite." Peter laughed softly. "Mine too now." The moment of levity lifted the last traces of doubt from Peter's mind. He straightened his shoulders, ready to finish his shift with confidence. "Peter," Mr. Harris called from behind the counter, "take a break if you need one. You've earned it." Peter shook his head firmly. "No, sir. I want to keep going." Mr. Harris smiled. "That's the spirit." As Peter continued bagging groceries, a woman approached him. "You know, I recorded the whole thing," she said sheepishly, holding up her phone. "It's already getting a lot of attention online. People are saying it's an important message about kindness." Peter's eyes widened. "Really?" "Yep," she confirmed. "You're going to be famous, kid." Peter wasn't sure how he felt about that, but one thing was clear. The incident had sparked a conversation. By the time his shift ended, Peter's story had spread beyond the market walls. Customers shared the video on social media, praising Shaq's intervention and celebrating Peter's resilience. The comments flooded in. "We need more people like Shaq and Peter in the world." As Peter clocked out, he felt a strange but wonderful sense of accomplishment. The day had been hard, but he had made it through. "You did great today, Peter," Mr. Harris said as Peter walked toward the exit. "See you tomorrow?" "Yes, sir," Peter said confidently. "I'll be back." The warm evening air greeted Peter as he stepped outside. His mother was waiting in the car, waving enthusiastically. "How was your first day?" she asked as he climbed in. Peter smiled brightly. "It was amazing, Mom. Shaq stood up for me and I think I'm going to be okay." His mother's eyes filled with pride. "I always knew you would be." The next morning, Peter woke up to the sound of his mother calling him from the living room. "Peter, you need to see this." Rubbing the sleep from his eyes, Peter shuffled out of his room and found his mother sitting on the couch, her phone in hand. Her face beamed with excitement. "What is it, Mom?" Peter asked, puzzled. She pointed to the TV screen where a morning news segment was playing. The headline read, "Shaquille O'Neal defends grocery worker against rude customer." Footage from the market played on the screen, showing the tense moment when Shaq had stood up for Peter. The camera captured Karen's retreat and Shaq's words of encouragement. "I can't believe this," Peter said softly, sinking onto the couch. "You're all over the internet, sweetheart," his mother said, scrolling through her phone. "People are calling you brave. Look at this." She handed Peter the phone, showing him countless comments on social media posts. "This young man is an inspiration. We need more people like Shaq who stand up for kindness." Peter's determination shows true strength. Peter's heart swelled with pride and disbelief. He never imagined that one difficult moment could turn into something so positive. Just then, Peter's phone buzzed with a message from Mr. Harris. "Peter, great job yesterday. We're getting calls from customers saying they want to meet you. See you at work today?" Peter grinned. "Looks like I'm a bit famous, Mom." "You deserve it," she said, pulling him into a hug. "You showed courage, even when things were tough." Later that day, Peter walked into the market with his head held high. As he made his way to the checkout counter, customers recognized him. "That's the young man from the video," someone whispered. A woman approached him with a warm smile. "You're Peter, right? I just wanted to say you handled yourself so well yesterday. My son watched that video and learned an important lesson about respect." Peter thanked her shyly, still adjusting to the attention. Mr. Harris clapped him on the back. "Welcome back, Peter. Ready for another shift?" "Yes, sir," Peter said confidently. The day went by smoothly, with customers offering kind words and encouragement. Peter felt stronger, more capable than ever before. The weight of past insecurities had lifted, replaced by a sense of belonging. Toward the end of his shift, a store employee ran up to him excitedly. "Peter, guess who's on the phone? Shaquille O'Neal." Peter's eyes widened in shock. "Shaq?" The employee nodded eagerly and handed him the phone. "Hello?" Peter said nervously. "Hey, Peter!" Shaq's deep, friendly voice boomed through the speaker. "Just wanted to check in on you, man. You doing good?" "Yes, sir," Peter said, grinning ear to ear. "Thank you for what you did yesterday. It means a lot." "You're welcome, buddy, but you know what? You didn't need me. You had that strength inside you all along. Keep being awesome, all right?" "I will," Peter promised. After the call ended, Peter stood there for a moment, basking in the surreal feeling of connection and support. By the time his shift ended, he realized something important. He wasn't defined by Karen's cruelty or even Shaq's intervention. He was defined by his own resilience, kindness, and determination. As Peter walked home that evening, he felt lighter than ever. The scars from his past hadn't disappeared, but they no longer controlled him. He was proud of himself, and that was enough. The next day, Peter walked into the market with a sense of pride and purpose. The air felt lighter, warmer, filled with smiles and nods from customers and co-workers alike. "Good morning, Peter," a regular customer greeted him cheerfully. "Morning," Peter replied, his voice stronger than before. As he made his way to the checkout counter, Mr. Harris gave him a thumbs up. "Look at you, superstar," he joked. Peter laughed. "Just doing my job, sir." It was true. Despite the viral attention and kind messages pouring in from across the internet, Peter knew he was still just himself, a hard-working young man determined to do his best every day. Midway through his shift, a young girl approached him shyly with her mother by her side. "Are you the nice man from the video?" she asked softly. Peter nodded with a smile. "I guess I am." "You're really brave," the girl said, handing him a small drawing of a superhero with curly hair and a wide smile. A drawing of Peter himself. Peter's heart swelled. "Thank you. This means a lot to me." As the day continued, Peter noticed something remarkable. The market felt kinder, more patient. People seemed to go out of their way to offer small gestures of gratitude and respect, not just to him, but to each other. By the end of his shift, Peter stood by the entrance watching customers leave with their groceries. He reflected on how far he had come, not just in the past few days, but in his life. The memories of his stepfather's cruel words no longer stung as sharply. Shaquille O'Neal's voice echoed in his mind. "You didn't need me. You had that strength inside you all along." Peter realized it was true. He had survived, thrived, and proven to himself that he was capable, worthy, and strong. As he clocked out, Mr. Harris stopped him. "Got a moment?" "Sure," Peter said curiously. Mr. Harris smiled warmly. "I just wanted to say how proud I am of you. Not just for handling that situation, but for showing up every day with a good attitude and giving it your all. You're an important part of this team, Peter." "Thank you, sir," Peter said, his voice steady with confidence. When Peter stepped outside, the cool breeze brushed against his face. His mother waited in the car, waving as usual. "How was today?" she asked as he climbed in. Peter grinned. "Great. I think I finally found my place." She squeezed his hand gently. "I always knew you would." As they drove home, Peter watched the world pass by, knowing that this was just the beginning of a brighter chapter in his life. He would face challenges, sure, but now he had the strength to overcome them. And if one thing was clear, it was this: kindness, courage, and resilience could change not just a single day, but an entire life. The story of Peter's first day at work is a powerful reminder of the profound impact that kindness, empathy, and courage can have in our everyday lives. Despite facing cruelty and humiliation from Karen, Peter demonstrated resilience by continuing to do his best, even when the odds were against him. His journey shows that true strength lies not in perfection, but in perseverance and self-belief. Shaquille O'Neal's intervention highlighted the importance of standing up for others, especially when they are vulnerable. His calm yet firm response to Karen's behavior reminded everyone present, and those watching online, that speaking out against bullying and mistreatment can inspire change. The incident also showed how one act of courage can spark a ripple effect. Customers who initially remained silent found their voices after seeing Shaq's example. They offered support, encouragement, and kindness to Peter, turning what started as a negative experience into a celebration of humanity. Most importantly, Peter's story emphasizes that everyone has worth, regardless of their pace, abilities, or background. The scars of Peter's past, though painful, did not define his future. With determination and the support of others, he discovered his own strength and proved that kindness and respect could overcome even the harshest moments. This story reminds us that kindness matters. A simple act of compassion can change someone's life. Stand up for what's right. When you witness someone being mistreated, don't be afraid to step in. Everyone has value. No one's worth is determined by others' opinions. Resilience is powerful. Even in the face of hardship, we can rise and thrive. As Peter's story spread across the internet, it served as an inspiration to countless people, showing that small moments of courage and compassion can create a better, more empathetic world. The moral is clear: treat everyone with dignity and respect. And when faced with cruelty, choose kindness. It's a choice that has the power to change lives. I hope you liked this story. Write your thoughts in the comment section. Also, subscribe the channel for daily notifications of upcoming stories like this.